Who's Ross Bolen?
Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen. And today, we're taking hotline calls from the can bangers. You, the listeners. If you didn't realize we have a hotline, you haven't been paying very close attention. The number is 888-203-2339. I'll say it again. Plug it into your phone. Write it down. Save it somewhere. 888-203-2339. You call. It's a voicemail box. You've got a 2-minute limit. You'll hear me say something, then a beep. You leave your take, your question, whatever you have to share with the show. I'll take the best calls and play them here on Banging the Can. 888-203-2339. And now, it's time for today's first call.
Mike from the Heights. So I'm sitting here scrolling through Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. And I see the preview for the new PBS documentary on the Astros tonight. It's October 3rd. Very convenient timing considering how the Astros just won their division and are having some of the best odds to win the World Series. All these people are just such big crybabies. Like, how long are we going to have to be the best team in baseball for people to realize that it didn't matter, that everybody was doing it? I hope this documentary focuses on a lot of, the other teams that were doing it first, or the other teams that were doing it at the same time, and how we became just these gigantic scapegoats for, just people being pissed that the Yankees weren't winning or the Dodgers were winning. Anyways, if you watch it, let me know what you think. I do not think that I'm going to tune in.
I obviously, like everyone else, have seen the marketing, the promotion for this PBS documentary, which is called The Astros Edge, Triumph and Scandal in Major League Baseball. And of course, if you're PBS and you're trying to get as many eyes on this documentary as possible, which is, their business, that's how they make money, you put it out as the Major League Baseball playoffs, as the postseason begins to unfold. Strategically, that makes sense. I personally just have zero interest in this story. I know what I need to know, right? This is mostly for non-Astros fans, I would think. And I don't even find it to be annoying. I mean, I get it. Whatever. It is what it is. I think at this point, if you've really looked into, done your own research like Aaron Rodgers, and really looked into what occurred in 2017, then you've probably made peace with the fact that the Astros did indeed violate the rules. It did indeed result in them having a wonderful regular season record that was probably at least a little bit impacted by their violating the rules by stealing signs at home at Minute Maid Park. But if you've done your research, you also know that they were not alone in this, that sign stealing in baseball had gotten to a place where technology was routinely being utilized by different franchises, that we had Carlos Beltran and Alex Cora come into the Astros organization and say, you are not doing enough, you are getting beaten in terms of stealing signs and in terms of how far you're willing to take it with technology. And they implemented a new plan to take things a little bit further. And look, they got punished. And they got punished in a way that Major League Baseball felt was commiserate to the crime. So I don't really care. Like, Boston did it. I think the Yankees got caught in some variation of it. There were many, many other teams that were doing this. By no means, if you have actually looked into it, should you be sitting there thinking the Astros are the only team that quote-unquote cheated. I don't care anymore about the story. It was 2017. We won another World Series 5 years later, last year in 2022, that is untainted, that no one can argue an asterisk for. There are guys like Jose Altuve who apparently didn't even take part in the sign stealing that did not take part in the banging of the can. And as this show's title should tell you, I have fully embraced the villain role. And the way that villain role unfolded for the Astros and for Astros fans has become a lot more crystal clear to me over the past several weeks. It's particularly as we see a massive resurgence of beef with Rangers fans, with Arlington Rangers fans. Been a lot of shit talking back and forth between Astros fans and Rangers fans over the past couple weeks, and really this whole season, but it kind of exploded this past couple weeks. In 2017, we win the World Series. We're all elated. It's an even bigger deal because of Hurricane Harvey. We're on top of the world. The sign-stealing scandal breaks. We don't really know what to think at first. What the heck happened? Did our guys do something wrong? Obviously, as fans, we have nothing to do with it. We have zero guilt. I didn't steal any signs. I didn't ask anybody to steal any signs. Frankly, I don't really care that they stole signs because they apparently... It's not a thing they did in the playoffs. They stopped in September. They still won the fucking World Series. I mean, I get punishing them obviously, but I don't understand. It's not like it was the reason we won the World Series that year. It had nothing to do with the postseason. Okay? It had nothing to do with road games. This was just at home during the regular season. Was it right? No. Did it happen? Yes. Does that suck? A little bit. But it didn't have anything to do with the postseason. Okay? You got to move past it. You got to move on. But as a fan, I start seeing all this shit talking. To us, as fans, we had nothing to do with it. We're not on the team. We didn't steal any signs. Frankly, we don't really care. A lot of animosity came to us as Astros fans for 2018, 2019, 2020. At some point, you keep poking the bear is going to eat you. And in this case, the eating is us just dominating the villain role. I say screw it. If everybody wants to hate us, hate on. The hating has fueled our team to 7 consecutive playoff berths, to 6 out of 7 division titles, to 4 World Series appearances in 6 years and 2 World Series wins. So I don't really care. As a sports fan, I have found now why New England Patriots fans and New York Yankees fans back in the day so enjoyed being hateable pieces of shit. Because I've said it before on the show and I'll say it one more time today. When everybody hates you, then there's not all these bandwagoners trying to soak up your joy, your glory, your wins. Now, as Astros fans, the only people who like it when the Astros win are the Astros fans and the team themselves, obviously. So we don't have anybody else coming in trying to ride the train, ride the coattails, get in on our dynasty. It's just us. And I like it that way. That's nice. So all these people who hate the Astros, who hate Astros fans, can go suck a toad. Who gives a shit? If they want to watch their little documentary and relive how we won in 2017, that's fine with me. I don't care. Do they want to make another one about 2022 when sign stealing had nothing to do with it? Maybe they'll make one about 2023 after we win another one, huh? But yeah, as far as the PBS thing goes, Mike, who is on X, I don't care to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I've got plenty of other shows and documentaries on my list of things I want to see and not enough time to pencil in a PBS documentary about something I already know enough about. So it is what it is. The haters are going to hate. They hate. We're great. Ho's mad. Not our problem. Moving on. Next call.
Yo, what up, Ross? It's your boy Struck, lifelong Astros fan, languishing in the hell that is Marlins country in South Florida. Had a question for you about the Astros postseason. So I've been thinking about it. I want to know who your 3 X-factor players are. If these guys play well, we should win a series. My thoughts on it, I got Doobie, our boy, at the beginning of the season, came fucking out of nowhere, had an amazing start to the season. And I think the legend of Mauricio Dubon only grows with this postseason. I think we get a great postseason out of Hector Neris. I mean, absolutely lights out at the end of the season. He plays well in the bullpen. I think nobody can beat our pitching staff. And then last but not least, I have this feeling. Our boy, Kyle Tucker, got us. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that Kyle Tucker is going to have the play of the season that either wins us the series or gets us to the series. And he will forever be etched in Astros lore for this season. I think that man should be MVP. But that's besides the point. That's not my question. Let me know your thoughts, Ross. HTown versus everybody. Struck out.
Struck, thank you for calling. 3 names that I think will make or break this postseason run that the Astros start on Saturday. Number 1, and number 1 on purpose, is Christian Javier. Our pitching rotation, I don't know if you've noticed this, was lacking during the regular season. We had a lot of guys hurt, a lot of guys underperforming, a lot of guys inconsistent. Christian Javier was very inconsistent. He did not look like the guy we saw last year where he was dominant, unhittable. And I'm hoping to see him return to that form during the postseason. If Christian Javier can go back to being Christian Javier, we are going to be very, very difficult to beat in a 7-game series. Because you got Justin Verlander, who looks, by all evidence, very locked in. I think he's in a great spot rolling into the postseason, JV, as I said earlier this week. So I'm not going to further elaborate on Justin Verlander. But you got Verlander, you got Framber Valdez, who you have to think, when it comes down to it in the postseason, he will get the shit together. You have to think he will, right? The guy that really puts us in a position to have 3 postseason aces in our rotation is Christian Javier. And I will add an amendment to Christian Javier. This does not count as one of my 3 names, but Hunter Brown. He needs to be better, right? But I think in terms of a pitcher, in terms of one player that could really shift what happens for the Astros in the postseason, I think if Christian Javier comes out and is at the top of his game, we are going to give teams a lot of trouble. A lot. Now, that being said, on the offensive side of the ball, Jose Abreu, the guy in the 5-hole. And I pick him, and I'm saying these names because they're not the ones I already expect to produce. All right, Altuve, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez. I expect them to produce. I don't pick them as a potential, fate shifter because that's their job. Those guys are perennial all-star Hall of Fame talents. They're supposed to get the job done. If Jose Abreu can come out and hit like he did at the end of September or during some of the other stretches of the year where he looked like he was really pulling it together, if he can be like 2020 or anything close to 2020 American League MVP Jose Abreu, that would be huge for us. Because most of these other guys like Jeremy Pena, who didn't play well in the regular season with his bat, who didn't hit well, he's going to pull it together for October. He's going to come out and do his thing in October. That's what Jeremy Pena does. Look at last year when he was a rookie. The evidence is there. Chas McCormick, he's going to do it too. He did it last year. Chas, I'm not concerned about. The guy that I'm like, all right, I could see the pressure pushing him in the wrong direction is Jose Abreu. If Jose Abreu can come out and crush the baseball, the Astros will be in a much better place than if he doesn't. Biggest possible momentum shifts in terms of pitching, Christian Javier. In terms of hitting, Jose Abreu. And then, if you wanted to throw another name in there, like maybe Chas McCormick, yeah, because he can, we've seen Chas hit well enough before to where he was a game changer. He was a guy who was getting run production, RBIs, home runs, on top of making great plays in the field. If Chas McCormick can have a great postseason again, I think just like last year, he kind of gives us that, cherry on top feeling. And let's say with Chas, it's a combination, defensive and offensive, because he made some spectacular plays with his glove last year that put us in a position to win that World Series, and we did. So those are the three guys I would probably pick. Dubon is an interesting name, but I expect him to be that utility guy that he was all season long. He never faltered. I don't know why he would now, so he's not really a name that I'm like looking to step it up. Whereas those three, Chaz had ups and downs this season. He was mostly consistent, but like he didn't have the best season of his career, I don't think necessarily with the bat. There was a lot going on behind the scenes we couldn't get a feel for. It was a controversial Chaz McCormick season. I am expecting to see him playing more than Jake Myers, obviously. That would be a thing that would concern me greatly if Chaz was not our starting center fielder. So we'll see. But, yeah, those are three guys that I really think could make things go one way or the other this postseason. Jose Abreu, Christian Javier, Chaz McCormick, in terms of shifting momentum through one performance alone, one guy's performance alone. Those three are going to be very interesting. I mean, you could, if you want one more, Martin Maldonado. I think if Maldonado can continue gunning guys down, throwing dudes out on top of being a great game caller, maybe mix in a couple home runs, that'd be tight, wouldn't it? That would be huge too. Next call.
Hey, how's it going, man? I stay around the Heights, the Independence Heights, so just right above the normal Heights. My take is I hate people bashing on Dusty's lineups. I think people just look at what they see, on TV. When someone gets a hit and when someone gets a home run, but people don't see what the players and the coach see. For example, Martin Maldonado, he's not. Yanier Diaz is destroying him on batting, which is sometimes what we need. But behind the plate, these pitchers, I guarantee you, Justin Verlander says, I want Martin catching me. Valdez says, I want Martin catching me. Why? Because this dude Martin has like 2 no-hitters, 3 no-hitters. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 no-hitters. With Valdez, the combined no-hitter, and maybe Justin Verlander. I don't know. But yeah, I think we need to split the love between Yanier and Martin and stop hating on Martin. Also, I think Dubon doesn't get enough love and appreciation for what he did while Jose Altuve was out. Put Chaz McCormick in the lineup, put other people in the lineup, but Dubon should not get hate for being in the lineup. That's my take, man. Have a good rest of your day and love your show.
Yeah, we're in the place where I think I've spent enough time defending Dusty Baker's lineups. But just to reiterate, Justin Verlander gets to pick his catcher. If Verlander comes out and says, I want Yanier Diaz as I want him behind the plate, that would happen. But that's not what's happening because that's not who he's picking. He's picking the veteran game caller who's got more no-hitters than any active catcher in the American League. I know for a fact more than any Astros catcher, I believe, in history. But no, Maldonado, we don't need to do this anymore. Maldonado, like I said earlier in the week on Monday's show, he's kind of like the defensive coordinator, and he's very, very good at what he does. If he can bring something with the bat, that can be a big difference maker. Because you know what you're getting defensively. Right? And people looked at a lot of these pitching performances this season and blamed Maldonado, I think, for the lack of consistency. That at some point, you got to point the finger at Framber. You got to point the finger at Javier. You can't just be, it's the catcher. Now, catcher's not throwing the ball. Catcher's calling the pitches. That doesn't mean he gets to pick the spot and that they'll hit it. I mean, that doesn't even mean that they'll go with the pitch he calls. You see constantly Verlander shaking stuff off on the mound. So it's the responsibility ultimately obviously falls on the pitcher, but Maldonado can play a huge role in what he does behind the plate, and that's why he has the job he does. And fans and couch coaches speculating about, it should be Diaz every game. I fell into this at one point because here's the thing. It's like groupthink. One person on X, formerly known as Twitter, says, Yanier Diaz should be the everyday starting catcher. And then everybody who reads that goes, I didn't even realize that was like a real possibility. And suddenly there's a whole bunch of people arguing for this shit. So much so that at one point in the season, when Diaz kept crushing the baseball with the bat as the DH, as a pinch hitter, I came out and said, like, all right, I think it's time to genuinely consider Yanier Diaz as the starting everyday catcher, because he probably would have won Rookie of the Year this season if that had been the case. And then I immediately shifted back because I forgot. I was like, oh my God, pull yourself together, man. We got to stop. Look, at some point, Martin Maldonado will be gone. Retirement, lack of a contract, whatever. He's getting older. He's been doing his thing for a very long time. And then it'll be Yanier Diaz's time to shine. But until then, everybody needs to shut up, be happy that we even have Yanier Diaz as another bat to put in, to plug in, to use here and there or whatever. I mean, it is going to be, we have a plethora of talent on this roster. And that's where the challenge is going to be for Dusty Baker in the postseason. How do you utilize some of these guys? Right? Like, what do you do with, I mean, is Michael Brantley, what's happening? Are we with him, between him and Diaz and John Singleton? Is Singleton going to get any reps? Like, where are we at there? I'm not even sure our postseason roster has been finalized yet. I need to look at that, but we can discuss next week, obviously. It's going to be interesting. Dusty did have a season that a lot of fans saw as shaky in terms of decision-making and roster management. And I mean, there were points where I thought that too, like where I was confused by his decision-making at the very least. But that's where our caller made a very important point. We only see what we see. We're not in the clubhouse. We're not at practice. We're not on the medical team. We don't know what's going on with guys, with their health, with their mental health, with their physical health, with their production at practice, with the load management side of the sport, which is a part of baseball that people are refusing to acknowledge for some reason. Like, they still get, like, Chaz was getting a day off every week intentionally as part of a way to preserve his energy, his focus. There's a mental load that goes into playing. Have you ever seen Chaz McCormick in the outfield? He never stops moving because he's stressed the fuck out. He's anxious. He's that kind of a guy. A lot of baseball players are mental, like, we got a mental game that's unacknowledged. A lot of head cases in baseball. Chaz, I'm not saying you're a head case, but he is one of those guys. He never stops moving. You get a guy like that a day off, eases his mind, takes away the tension, gives him the ability to be better for a longer period of time. And this team was always about performing in October. That's what we do. So you gotta acknowledge that side of the game. And I think Dusty does a really, really good job of managing people, players as people, and making sure they get taken care of and get what they need. Banana pudding or whatever the fuck, right? So, yeah, you got to have a little faith. Stop talking shit about Dusty. It's insane. I've said it already. You're cut off if that was your bag. Find another slant. All right. Today's episode is brought to you by MyBookie. If you're looking for a sports book to call home, why not try the one supporting your favorite Houston sports show? Make your money work smarter, not harder with MyBookie. Celebrate your winning season with MyBookie's biggest welcome offer ever. A 110% deposit match on your first deposit. You heard that right. You can more than double your money before you even place a bet by making a deposit with MyBookie. Stipulations apply. All you have to do is go to mybookie.ag and use our promo code BTC to claim this bonus. But make sure to act quickly. This offer is only available this week. And you can only get it with our code BTC, as in banging the can, when you deposit on mybookie.ag. That's code BTC. This offer is only available this week. 110% deposit match on your first deposit. More than double your money before you've even placed a bet. With a slate full of NFL and college football on top of playoff baseball, there are plenty of options to bet and win, so don't be the guy who missed out. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Code BTC at mybookie.ag to unlock that welcome deposit bonus. Act now. Next call.
Hey, this is Mike from the Heights. So obviously I'm incredibly excited the Astros, won the division. But looking at this bracket, it feels like this is our easiest road to the World Series that we've had. I mean, obviously the World Series where they were playing the Braves, the Dodgers, that's going to be tough. But looking at, who were playing before that, it's teams we can beat, like, kind of easily. I mean, the Orioles look great, but at a certain point, our experience is going to really matter. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, it's not implausible that we take care of business against the Twins or the Blue Jays really easily. I think you got to respect the Orioles and what they did this year a little bit more. That being said, one of the misleading things about this Astros team is that we only got 90 wins, right? We end up with the 2 seed in the AL. Look, 100 to 110 wins is where we would have been had everybody been healthy all year long, and I think that's a fair estimate. We're still a better team than the Orioles. I would hope that the Astros will take the underdog mentality into this postseason, because the postseason is when things can sneak up on you. And if you don't respect a team like the Blue Jays or the Twins enough, suddenly you're down in a hole and you're trying to battle back, and oh my God, then next thing you know, you lost the series. I mean, we've seen it before. We've had teams that were, I mean, there have been multiple years, in my opinion, where we had the best team in baseball and we did not win the World Series. And it was brutal. Brutal. And this year, our roster is stacked. If the pitching comes out and pitches at the level that we know they're capable of, we are the best team in the American League. No doubt to me. But that's a scary place to be when you underperformed all season, when you dealt with injuries and inconsistency all season, and now you're in the postseason. That was why it was so important to me not to end up a wild card team, because that shit starts immediately. I mean, they've got game 2 of all of those series going today. You don't get any time to breathe, catch your breath, set your rotation. We got the chance to do all that now. And yeah, all things considered, if you want to look at it on paper, and again, this is as a fan, I pray to God that Dusty and the team aren't looking at it this way. Easiest possible path to the postseason. I don't want to play Tampa Bay. After watching Tampa Bay play yesterday, I don't want to play the Rangers. I think Baltimore will take care of whichever of those teams. And I'm not scared of Baltimore, but you're going to have to beat the best to be the best. We know how this works. As far as the Twins and the Blue Jays go, am I intimidated by either of those teams? No. So the expectation for this squad now that we've done the thing and gotten to the 2 seed and we have the bye and we're starting Saturday in the ALCS against the winner of the Toronto Blue Jays Minnesota Twins series, the expectation is you make it to the World Series. If we don't win the ALCS, this is a disappointing season, and that's okay. That's okay. Life is not always as it should be. Sometimes disappointments occur and you have to live with them and help use them to make yourself better. That happens sometimes. God knows it's happened with the Astros over this 7-year run, dynastic run we've had. But this team not making the World Series would be a disappointment. Would be a disappointment, for sure. And that's when the real challenge will occur. Because if you look at I'm not scared of the Dodgers. I can't take them seriously. But if you look at the Braves and you don't think, oh yeah, that's going to be a challenge, then you're not being realistic. The Braves played great baseball all year long. Their offense is insane, and their defense holds it together. So, yeah, for now, next couple weeks, winning is the expectation. There is no doubt that we should be the best team in the American League. And now that we have everybody healthy, and now that with luck, we got so lucky that last month in September, when it's like we were trying to give away the division, and the Mariners and the Rangers wouldn't let us do it. And you got to pay that luck back with earning it, right? Like earn the luck that just happened, earn the lucky breaks we just got, and go out and win the American League. That's the expectation. All right. Thanks for calling, Mike. Next.
Hey, man. It's Kade from Houston. I want to talk about Hunter Brown and what the fuck to do with Hunter Brown. I'm looking at his stat line, and his ERA in August was a 6.23, and his 2 starts in September is a 9.72. He hasn't gone 6 innings in 32 days. Let's see. Like 6 starts. Is it too late to option him to AAA and give Ronel Blanco another try, or do we just clinch our buttholes and hope he doesn't blow important games in October? All right, let me know.
So this call was from the beginning of September. I think it was the September 2nd or 4th. And I chose to play it today anyway because the same problem exists. I don't know what they're going to do with Hunter Brown. You saw him come in as a closer in that final series several days ago or whatever. I don't think you can trust him in your starting playoff rotation based off of the way this year went. I think you probably go Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, JP France, Jose Urquidy mix right there, right? That fourth spot, right? So I think what you'll see more of, I know you'll see more of in October is the piggyback thing where they use more than one starting pitcher in a game. Hopefully not the case for Verlander. Hopefully not the case for Framber Valdez. But when it comes to Christian Javier, even it's possible. Now, if he comes out and does top-tier Christian Javier shit, we won't need to piggyback. But the piggyback strategy looks very possible for this team to be extremely productive, right? So, like, you start Urquidy, you get 4 or 5 good innings out of him. You bring Hunter Brown in, you get 4 good innings out of him. Boom. You're good. Because you get to the bullpen, we've got the talent there. We've seen it. Time and again. Hector Neris, Abreu, Brian Abreu. These guys are ready. And then there's Presley. He'll be ready too. So Hunter Brown is a big question mark, and he's going to be an interesting in terms of like what happens with him moving forward. I mean, beyond this postseason, even like next season, like what the fuck? Because he was not good enough this year. He just wasn't. He did not take the steps forward we expected. And I thought bringing Verlander back might put a little extra pep in his step, and maybe he would turn the corner. I didn't see much difference in the second half of the season either. Hunter Brown is a question mark for sure. That being said, we have enough starting pitching, even having lost Luis Garcia, which is crazy, and Lance McCullers Jr. Think about the rotation we would have if those guys are healthy too. I guess JP would be in the minors or whatever, but no, we've got enough guys. Between Verlander, Framber, between JP France, between Christian Javier, we've got enough guys. Urquidy coming back and looking good, that was huge. That last start of the regular season for Urquidy was massive to get momentum going into the playoffs. We'll be okay. We don't need Hunter Brown to be an ace or even a starter. I think he can be the piggyback guy. Be kind of a utility dude in terms of pitching in the postseason, but we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely looking. That's a place of interest for me too. Next call.
Hey, Ross. This is Aaron from Houston's East End. Just wanted to call and say to all the listeners and to you, give you a thank you for calming us down, keeping us cool, calm, and collected, and most importantly, reasonable. I've been fed up with the takes on Dusty Baker. I think the slander is unwarranted. As fans, it's always good to be skeptical and that's criticized, but criticism of this man and the way he calls games and how he prepares for them is it's just mind-boggling. But just want to say thank you. Keep up the good work. Love the pod. Yeah, it's awesome. Keep it coming.
That one was for me. As a little treat for being positive and avoiding pessimism and staying on the course all season long and trying to keep y'all there with me. I meant a lot of what I said. It's not like I was just like doing optimism for the sake of optimism. Like this team has never let me down. They have earned in the same way that like people are questioning like Jim Crane in the offseason and what happened with the GM and like Jeff Bagwell and all that. And I get it. That was weird shit. But at the same time, Jim Crane earned the right to do whatever. To do literally whatever. And you gotta give it to them at some point. You gotta trust. If they keep producing the results you want, like, I understand there's this temptation to be like a Yankees fan in the early 2000s or the 90s or whatever. Like, no, it's World Series every year or it's failure and everyone should be fired and like, what the hell? I mean, look where that gets you eventually. That's not a winning culture long term. That's too weird. It's too... When the fans start getting... You become so miserable. Everybody's miserable. All that misery festers. It's like a cancer for a franchise. In the fans, too. I don't mean just for the players in the front office. If you have a bunch of miserable fans who are out there like, oh, God, everything could be better. Look, man, just put yourself in their shoes. When you're a player on the field, what do you want to feel from the fans? What energy do you want to feel? You want to feel positivity, hope, optimism. You want to feel belief. So if all regular season long you're going, oh God, we're not going to make the playoffs, what do you think they feel? You don't think they feel that? Human beings can't pass energy like that? Like, you know how there's superstitious fans who are like, all right, this inning I'm going to put my shoe on my head because I am a half-wit moron who thinks that'll help somehow. Like, we make fun of that shit, but there's also something to being a fan that is undervalued. And that's like the energy you bring into the stadium and even on TV. I believe this. Seriously, I'm not fucking with you. When you watch on TV, what you put towards that TV on some small, itty-bitty, microscopic, fucking weird human energy level, it does matter. It does matter. And that's why I try to tell people all season, like, just be positive, man. Because you could see we were getting beat up. The breaks were bad. Like, when Garcia went down, I was like, oh, no. That was on top of, like, then Urquidy got hurt, and then you found out McCullers was out for the season. It was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? Like, you could see a lot of negative stuff happening to this franchise, to the team for this season. And you got to override that. You got to be willing as a fan to say, like, no, fuck that, I believe no matter what. And the questioning is too much. Look, I'm going to stop tooting my own horn. The point is, this all mattered in the regular season. I don't think we did a very good job as a fan base this year. Like, it was too much questioning, too much pessimism, too much bitching and moaning and tweeting or Xing or whatever. Like, the social media presence from the Astros fans this season was a little bit embarrassing. And I feel this way now about this Rangers crap that's been going on the past 3 days. What are you doing arguing with the Rangers? Why do you even care what they think, bro? It's the Rangers. It's the Arlington Rangers. Why are you engaging this? Like, if they're below us, the best possible attitude you can give to a fan base that you want them to walk away knowing you don't care is the Don Draper. I don't think about you at all. Because for me personally, I really don't. I would like it if the Rangers became a realistic, like, if that became a real rivalry that I had to care about every year. But, like, right now, I don't feel that way. They went all in on this season with, like, an $800 million cap, like, it didn't work out. Everybody they brought in is hurt. Like, I don't know if they're going to get past Tampa. Even if they do, I don't think they're going to get past Baltimore. So I don't really care. I don't care. I'm sick of hearing about the Rangers, man. Stop talking about the Rangers. Positivity. Positive vibes only. That's the route. That's the move as a fan. And this season, we didn't do so great. So this postseason, let's do it. Can we just please and thank you? One more call. Here it is.
To all the people with terrible expectations, we might not make the playoffs. We might not be it this year, but the Texans are smashing expectations. Doesn't matter, Brian. 2-2 after week 4, Brian. Everyone's expecting us to go like 1-3 or 0-4. We are smashing expectations. I am so excited to have these beautiful, beautiful Texans making us excited again. Let's ride.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Doesn't matter, Brian. Great Bill O'Brien reference. Yeah, look, the Texans, this has been fun, man. I mean, CJ Stroud is the real deal. Look, it's almost weird, like deja vu, because like in 2017, we got Verlander. We had this young, hot new quarterback that looked like he was going to be the leader of the franchise. And then what happened? We won the World Series. In 2023, we get Verlander, and then we get this young, hot new quarterback that looks like he's going to be the future of the franchise. And this time, hopefully, he can, actually handle getting a massage. But the Texans have been fun in every facet of the game. Like, special teams has been tight. Defense is flying around. Like I said earlier this week, it's fun to watch. It's good football. And the guys look like they really want to be there, and the energy is there, and I give D'Amico Ryans deserves so much credit. If you're a Houston Texans fan who's still remained off the bandwagon, if you will, you haven't been really willing to, like, put yourself back out there and get hurt again, it's time. But just keep the expectation that, like, we're not going to do anything special this season other than not being bad. Like, the team is not bad. We are objectively not bad, and that is a huge first step. I am enjoying Houston Texans football. You all should be too. That will do it for today's show. Remember, every episode of Banging the Can is available on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. If you are on YouTube, subscribe, comment, rate, 5 stars, whatever. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give me 5 stars. Write a couple sentences about why you like the show. Leave us a review. Spotify, 5 stars. Goes a long way. But if you're listening and you'd rather be watching, youtube.com/@bangingthecan. Tell your friends and family about the show. It means a lot. Share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends, your family, your Houston sports pals, buddies, whatever. Support our sponsors. Today we had MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag. Biggest welcome bonus they've ever offered. 110% deposit bonus when you use the code BTC for your first deposit on mybookie.ag. Stipulations apply. Check out my media startup, Bolen Media, at bolenmedia.com. My comedy show, The Ross Bolen Podcast, available wherever you consume Banging the Can. Follow us on TikTok, @BangingTheCan, Instagram, Twitter. Share our clips, retweet, or X, whatever. Like our stuff, comment on it. It helps grow the show. If you like the show, if you're enjoying the show, we're a small operation. This is my full-time job doing podcast stuff. Independent media, baby. Support us. Tell your people about us. It helps a lot. We had our biggest YouTube episode ever. We're over 7,500 views on YouTube, which doesn't sound like all that much. It goes a long way to helping grow the show. I appreciate y'all for being here, for listening, for watching. I love doing this. I'd love to keep doing it. I'll keep doing it as long as y'all keep helping me grow it. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBOLEN. First game Saturday. Going to be a big one. I'll see you on social media at Banging the Can. I usually tweet my way through games. That's how I deal with the anxiousness. Be back next week to discuss how the first couple games go. Until next time, HTown, hold it down.